or kickstart that new idea that you've got.
Microsoft Reactor connects you with the developers and startups that share your goals.
Learn new skills, meet new peers, and discover the latest in technology.
Events are running around the clock, so join us anytime, anywhere.
Reactors are communities to connect. We want you to meet real developers and entrepreneurs just like you. Here you can get skilled up and learn from our product experts in the Microsoft Cloud and in open source. So watch us on demand and share your own perspective as we live stream in communities all around the world.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode from the Azure Happy Hour series. My name is Rashmita, and I'm the event planner for Microsoft Reactor India. I'm here today joined by our very own host Reshmi and our special guest speaker Lingaraj. But before we start the session, I would request you all to read our code of conduct. We are all here to learn together, so please be respectful of other people's views, understanding of differences, being kind and considerate in the way you engage. The chat section is open throughout, and we do encourage you all to participate. Our speaker will answer all your questions during the session, so please feel free to drop all your questions in the chat section. With this, thank you all once again for joining us today, and let me bring in Reshmi into the stream to begin the session. Over to you, Reshmi.
Thank you so much for that, Rashmita. And hello, everyone. It's been a while since we have met. So thank you so much once again for dialing in. And today, I would like to pick up from where we left last time. How do we captivate the maximum potential from this AI world? How can we integrate AI and empower our productivity and empower our day-to-day developments that we are doing on Azure? Right? And this is something which all of us have been exploring personally. But how can we make the most of it is by hearing from someone who is a technical expert in that field. So it gives me a lot of pleasure to bring in our guest speaker today, Lingaraj Benny. So Lingaraj, thank you so much for joining us over here. I know it's been a crazy ride to try get all your content through in this given limited time slot. So super excited to hear what you're going to talk about. But maybe we start off by doing a quick introduction of who you are, what you do, and what is going to be the one-line summary of what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, thanks, Rashmi and Rashmita for hosting me and Azure Happy Hours. I'm delighted to be here. I'm happy to talk about Azure stuff for sure. Yeah, just to start with my intro, I'm an MCT, Microsoft Certified Trainer by passion, but by profession, I'm an AI and the cloud leader. I had Microsoft practice for a company called Move8. Been into Move8 very recently, but previously I was heading Microsoft COE for Entity Limited and the Entity Data. That's my a little history, but I've been into Microsoft world for the last 18 years, selling, solutioning Microsoft products since 2006. So that's the history, what I carry in terms of work and the profession. But MCT is a passion, what I follow and practice. So that's a very brief about me. And especially thanks to Parth and Rashmita to have me here. Thanks for hosting me here. Yeah.
That is a great intro, and thank you so much for setting the context of what the users can actually expect from you. So thank you once again for being a part of this journey, and let's quickly jumpstart into what we want to talk about today.
Sure. Let me share my screen quickly. Give me a minute.
And to the folks who are tuned in while Lingaraj is working on sharing the screen, please feel free to keep your questions pouring in. We will pick up these questions on the fly and get them answered so that you know for a fact that this is what you need to do rather than waiting till the end of the session, right? So please keep it flowing. Please keep your curiosity on, and let's make the most of the session.
That's cool, Rashmi. Yes, folks. If you have got any questions, please do not hesitate. Chat with us anytime. When I look at the chat, or maybe Rashmi looks at the chat, we'll try to answer your questions. Yes, for sure. At the end, we have a Q&A. Yeah, I will take your questions for sure. And now let's begin. I have a small video to introduce to you all what exactly happens when we have an expectation in IT. So there would be more workloads, more requirements, more business, more capabilities, and a lot many things in terms of platforms, in terms of everything. Like every day you need to do more. That's a concept what we have got since our childhood. So users needs like workloads, requirements, services, everything is interlinked when you talk about your everyday work. It could be Rashmi, it could be me, it could be anyone, or it could be like a child, it could be an engineer, it could be a doctor. Every day it's to be like you have to do more. You have to ensure that you're beating yourself from yesterday. So this is an exponential challenge for anyone in the industry to conquer the next level. For example, I did excellent job in terms of infrastructure as a code a while ago. But did we do the greatest job after the infrastructure as a code and infrastructure? I don't think so. We have done that yet. But here today, we'll talk about it, how we can go beyond the IAC or how we can leverage more IAC stuff easily just being an AI prompt engineer. It's not needed to be just an AI prompt engineer, but yes, we have to have that knowledge in terms of how we can be more quicker, more precise in terms of achieving something with regards to your infrastructure management. So let's go and understand in the next slide what we would be doing to make sure we need to do more. Okay, so this is just a question I would wanted to post you all. Like for example, you need to do more and you need it at the moment. So what is it? What is it, guys? So just a thing like you have to be correct, you have to be compliant, you have to be safe, you have to be prominent, you have to be repeatable, you have to be cost effective. This is something which every industry would really need it from anyone, be it an engineer, be it a manager, be it an administrator, be it a developer, be it anyone. You would really want to conquer all of these. And that's an yesterday. So AI, we talk about AI. We were talking about AI when Rashmi introduced about the course or about the session. It was about AI. Yes, it's about AI at the moment.
Lingaraj, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but maybe if you could just press that hide button on the StreamYard link that's coming on the bottom. It's kind of hiding the font.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for
I'm
that.
sorry, and
No
thank you so much. I'm sorry. Okay, so we were talking about AI. AI isn't the first thing that actually helped us, right? So there were like the AI really helping out with the cognitive tasks, what we have got, or maybe scripting, maybe programming, right? Automating the processes, maybe some of the loads we could share together with the help of AI. But it's kind of like trust which is being built. For example, we had many developers in the industry earlier, and now we have got AI to share our work. For example, I myself, I depended on a lot of folks who were my peers to share my work earlier. But now, believe me, I use Cursor on a VS Code just to ensure that I have got the data flow in my bucket. I just don't have to play around or maybe wait for someone to help me out. So that's a trust what AI has brought up to the table, or maybe has been into the world. People believed it. Like ChatGPT got famous. Like it was skyrocket in terms of usage. That's how the trust was built by AI. So AI does what we need, and it doesn't do what we don't want, right? So that's a focus, that's a trust, what we have been doing it. So the question would arise: will I be replaced? So language will be replaced? Maybe not. I would say, or maybe yes in sometimes. For example, if I want to do the same old task, could be those tasks could be replaced. So if I want to be there, that could be possible way where I can be replaced, and there could be possible way no that I will not be replaced. So that being said, let's check out what we have got. The customer story, reducing the call fatigue with the chatbots. Like this is an achievement for us, where we can tell us ourselves that we will not be replaceable or we are not replaceable. We would go beyond with an AI. So imagine being on a call, like I'm on a call, like call agent, or maybe I'm on a service desk agent, where I've been paged 3 times a night, getting into the calls, displaces, restart, server failed. Like I'm on a server administrator, I get all of this, and you have got like something to do with an access, you get a call in between midnight. So in 2016, chatbots really popped up and started helping us doing things like Slack chatbot helped themselves, like it empowers developers to perform tasks themselves, handles common and repetitive tasks, which was really good, right? So that's where we enhanced our skills. We were more precise. We were able to do work more prominently and perfect way. The achievement was so super that we started excelling ourselves into many things. When chatbot was doing the repetitive task, exactly the same thing would happen with the AI. We will be more efficient, we will be more prominent, and we'll be more faster and quicker in terms of deliveries, what we could do. Believe me, this is what is happening. When I said cursor with a VS Code, I can create a Python program for any application with an architecture, with a data flow within a day if I'm doing a brainstorming with my cursor. And that something could take a month if I have to build a team and then get it done. So I'm faster, quicker. It's not like it's perfect. It has to be reviewed, it has to be taken care. But still, I'm telling you, that's a way how we would evolve. Having said
Yeah.
that, the cost of maintaining the chatbot, like chatbot, what was that? So scalability, time investment, security concerns. So we had this chatbot can answer anyone. Like RBAC was not implied there. Like we'll discuss about RBAC, but that's the reason I bought the RBAC stuff here, role-based access control system, which is prominently used in our Azure or the Entra stuff, Entra ID, what we call. So we have got those security concerns, or we had those security concerns, and the time investment was huge, like cleaning up the old solutions and building up a new ones so that chatbot can really understand and it can give you those information and those answers and can do the repetitive task for you was huge thing. It required many things. Now, what we have is managing IT infrastructure with copilots, right? So that's something could really help us a lot in terms of copilots in Azure, GitHub Copilot, and AI Shell. Okay, so we will be talking about some of the demos in future, like at the end of the session. I've just bought this slide to tell you to keep you motivated in terms of okay, I'm not just talking on the slide. We'll have some demos, the real ones, the quick ones, and believe me, the demos are amazing. Okay, so having said that, let's quickly understand the managing existing infrastructure by leveraging AI. So I was talking about using a chatbot, the old traditional way of managing the infrastructure, using the infrastructure as a code, and believe me, we are evolving. The chatbot really helped us to evolve to ensure that we focus on something beyond the chatbot, and we did that. Like we are there, we are using the AI now, which is called Copilot. And I would have explained Copilot better in the previous slide, but I just wanted to get to this slide so that I can help you understand Copilot is not just a chat GPT kind of a thing. Copilot can do many more aspects in the Microsoft Echo world and beyond that as well. Like we have got Copilot Studio, which can have the customized agents, which we call it as agentic AI, and that's a different topic altogether. But still, just to give an information, the Copilot can do many things. There are many versions of Copilot, which were there in my previous slide. Having said that, so with a Copilot, what we can do, design or pre-optimize troubleshoot. So all of this can be achieved on Copilot or maybe using Azure Copilot. And we will be noticing, addressing all of those in our demos. In next slides. Okay, what is the Copilot or how the Copilot exists on Azure? How we usually access the Azure portal? I use mobile phone a lot. Probably sometimes, there's a landing zone which has to be looked into. There is a code on ACR or could be like container registry ACR. There could be some Kubernetes stuff which I have to look in. I'll just use mobile app. I'm very happy to use the mobile app of Azure. And some people are happy using portal, and some people are using command line interface, CLI, what we call. Like sometimes I use Visual Studio Code, or sometimes I use the portal. If the computer is not mine, yeah, portal is the best thing to use. Mobile app is there. Beyond that, you might be asking, okay, all of these or wherever I'm using mobile app, portal, CLI, will I be able to use Copilot? Yes, you will be able to use Copilot. And let's understand how this real Azure stuff works in the platform stuff works in with the Microsoft Copilot. The best slide, which I like always, it talks about tooling, data sources, governances, Azure resource model, and the graphs, like anything, for example, like there are base, what we call, like the tooling has access to the data, right? And it can tap into the governance model, and it can really talk about the resource model and the graph, which is like, we have got governances in RBs, like RBAC, which I was talking about, and then it can access the services and the infrastructure as well. So imagine, we have got SDK, CLIs, PowerShell, not PowerShell, leave the PowerShell, I just mentioned it. But yes, if you're using still the PowerShell, try to update yourself. So Azure portal, if you have got that, and then it can access the data sources and the governances, which are sitting on top of the services and infrastructure, which really helps out. There's a basic structure which you can keep it in your mind in terms of how the real transfer happens when you request in a Copilot. We'll see that architecture, the flow in the coming slides.
So the best part about this, Lingaraj, is
Yeah.
all of these slides, the contents that we saw across tooling, data sources, etc., it's constantly evolving, right? So today
Yes.
maybe we are seeing two of the services tomorrow. Like every day is a surprise in this world of
Yeah, exactly. And believe me, Rashmi, we cannot cover everything which is updated and the
yeah.
latest at the moment. And that's always been there. For example, tomorrow
Yeah.
we are doing future tech, future ready AI summit and CGI with, and Sandeep Alur will be there. And tomorrow there is something new which we have added in the slide deck, and I'll be talking about new stuff in tomorrow. But yes, here, what evolves, yes, we cannot, I'm not able to predict, honestly speaking. Being in the industry for 18 years, something unpredictable could happen. Tomorrow, I could
Yeah.
be doing more innovative things than today.
Yeah.
So that's possible. That's a possible thing, what we could expect.
It's a great time to be alive.
Yeah. Okay, so the layer what exists on the Copilot, coming back to the session, and the layer on the Copilot part, like Copilot LLM, what we call, we take all that knowledge, okay? So whatever is there in the behind, and like using the large language models are able to understand the intent, for example, intent in terms of what's being discussed, where in the portal, okay, where in the portal, what resources, etc. So it really understands. For example, I'll show that in the demo. If I say K8, it understands it's a Kubernetes because my LLM is being trained. When I say K8, It understands that as a Kubernetes. So imagine how it is being enhanced, like what Rashmi was talking, like it can do wonders for us. So that's where Microsoft Copilot Azure or in Azure would really help us to do better infrastructure management. I would say best, not the better, best. So here we have to take that intent, which LLMs really getting trained on, and then that context of concepting a plan and answer that question across this data sources we have got and with the governance. Believe me, this is amazing, guys. The chatbots really miss this particular aspect. The people have a threat. Okay, this is our data. How you restrict someone using the data which is not intended to be supplied to the person, and that was a failure what we had in the chatbot. It's not complete failure, but it was a failure in terms of governance, where companies hesitated to implement those. But now, if you look at the Copilot, every company is able to use it because it go by governance, the policies, RBAC stuff, whatever you have got within your organization, that can be used. Having said that, let's move to the next slide, which is the front end of yours. Okay, any edge device. Okay, we call it as edge here. When the slide comes up, I like to say that this is edge. In like telemetry from any edge devices that's connected via ARC, or like anything which is connected beyond the Azure also can actually provide the data, can actually get the data or get the knowledge of it. For example, if I've connected my HCIs to ARC, which is on-premises, and that data can be pulled out or not, yeah, that's a beautifully, which is something the amazing Azure Arc does it, and then the Copilot can really learn that data source, like something from that data source, and give you an excellent output or excellent infrastructure automation part. So when we want to execute something on behalf of a user, okay, which is important point here. I was talking about RBAC and all this stuff. For example, reboot the VM. Okay, if I say Lingaraj, when he says that, okay, reboot the VM today, we always do what? The confirmation to the user, right? So the Copilot does the same thing in terms of confirmation and get the things done. How? It refers back to the RBAC. Like, are you really have got that permission or not? Like Copilot does the security inheritance of the organization, compliance, and there's a privacy policies which actually triggers from the Azure, and it really does this job. So having said that, I would like to conclude here. Like Microsoft works on AI is completely reviewed for any potential form of harm, or it is being mitigated by multidisciplinary stuff. Like for example, there were researchers, policy experts, lawmakers, everyone gave a thought to it, and then they made this possible. Okay, having said this, I would like to jump on to the next slide, which is really connected here. Okay, so what really we have to do, like what is it is doing? The ARC and the edge devices, and we have got Copilot LLM and the front-end access. It could be portal, mobile device, or maybe CLI. The ARC and edge device still supplies the information which is required for us to do or access the data source through our Copilot LLMs and perform the task which we have to do or which we want to do. Okay, so having said all of that, okay, this is a story which we built now. We understood what we were lacking, we understood what was lacking, and how Copilot is enhancing its memory or the data, or maybe LLM stuff, which we tried understanding. Let's understand the data flow, a final one in terms of theory. We have got demos after this. But what is the data flow? For example, if I'm connected to the Azure portal and there's a Copilot front end, where we talk about. So I just connect with the front end, and then it goes to the prompt orchestration, where prompt and response being filtered and precisely made sure that it goes to the store and the ARM templates. So let's look at that flow. You can see here, it calls the plugins, which is KKO queries, and then the access data under the user with a context. Then it gives the response back to you saying that this is what you can do. And usually, it renders the visuals. For example, if I ask for, okay, can you please give me the data, what has happened for the last 24 hours in terms of backup, in terms of VMs, okay, so that chart is usually be presented. The same data can be accessed using your ARM templates as well. Okay, I just quickly swapped the slide just to show you the managing existing infrastructure with an AI. We understood the data flow now. Okay, so there are something which we have got in terms of infrastructure with an AI. So here, Azure Services help impacts your resources, like help with the resource like errors in notification pane, helps with the forms like troubleshooting, security, and performances. Everything comes into picture when you want to manage an infrastructure with an AI. Just bought a landing zone design in front of you guys to explain this. So we have emerged from something to the last thing where we can manage the existing infrastructure with an AI. Okay, so there are some observations. Okay, the shell, the CLI can be very amazing stuff for us, which could do exponential growth, which has been exponential growth. Like we have got 6,000 commandlets, and we have got 10,000 commands in CLI. Graph, we have got 50,000. That's amazing numbers. I just wanted to bring numbers to you guys so that you can know, like you will know, okay, what's amazing thing Microsoft is doing to ensure that we smoothly run our infrastructure using an AI. Okay, so the more numbers for you guys. Okay, now the demo. Okay, so let's hit demo number 1. Hope everyone is ready for demo 1.
I think that's all we've been waiting for quite a while.
Okay, so I just wanted to build a storyline so that people understand quite well in terms of what is Azure Copilot. So that's the reason. Okay, so now I was talking about ACR, which is Azure Container, right? And we wanted to ensure that how we can deploy, okay, the Azure Container Registry here. Let's do some prompts first. Okay, I have predefined the demo here for you guys so that it is smooth and can run easily. Okay, now we will have to enter some of the commands here or some prompts here. Okay, we'll chat with ChatGPT. One second. Okay, so this particular demo is something like we have got, yes, we have what services can I use for store container images? It gives me an answer, like how do I create an Azure Container Registry and all the stuff. Okay, so I will ask AZCLI command to create a new ACR. Okay, now let's do that. Yeah. And after that, we'll use the new one. They'll give me the AZCLI command stuff. Yeah. Okay. Look at the answer, guys. Look at the answer. It's like update the commands to prefix. Okay, this is something amazing which we are doing here. Okay, now we'll say, yeah, we'll choose the update the command to prefix.
Can you also like execute these commands in the Copilot chat itself, or do we still need to switch to the CLI?
We can use Copilot to like chat itself to run the command.
Beautiful.
It verifies us and does it. So we are trying to validating, is it okay, is it not okay in terms of compliance to run. Yeah. So here I'm using the CLI. Yes, when it comes to the larger picture, better use the CLI. When you want to reboot the systems or maybe do small work, yes, the chat could be the good one. Okay, so we are running. So the SKU which we have used is the basic SKU with ACR creation command line. Okay, so now we are trying to ask the ChatGPT, sorry, not the ChatGPT, the Copilot stuff. What's the ACLI command to build? Um,
This is basically a new Google search, very specific for all things Microsoft Azure.
yes, I would not say Google search. Sometimes it doesn't. Google search may not be more precise, right? Because here you could really play with your resource groups or maybe some particular resources you have got so that it can give you exact command line. You just copy and paste it. For example, if I go to Google, it gives me a command line, but it doesn't give me which is um, exact command. For example, if I put across RG1 is my resource group where I have to deploy my resources for the ACR, which I'm trying to deploy, that exact command, I can get it here. This
Yeah,
is beyond
makes sense.
Google. Yeah. Okay, so now we're trying to like enter identity part, how the RBAC stuff really works in. Like, can I use AZ like credentials or CLI credentials to authenticate a registry? So I'm just giving, like asking it, and then now asking it to give me the exact command line to start a fresh Copilot. Like it's asked me to start a fresh Copilot because I did reach a limit. It was 10 earlier. Okay, so I can do multiple chats. So this is like, for example, it erases the whole memory support history and asks me to put me into the new chat. But now the increase have been done. Right, we have got more inputs, more data can be input into the chat. By any chance, Rashmi, like, what's a new chat restrictions? I didn't check that very recently, but that's an update which I heard.
I haven't checked that either, Lingaraj, but that was one question which I was going to ask you is the number of requests that a person can see in the chat window. Is that also linked to the kind of SKU that they're currently using. So basically,
Yes.
like I see it's Copilot preview for you right now. Maybe that's
Yes,
the
it's a
reason why you're. Hmm. Also, another question. So when you start a new chat window, does it
yeah.
retain the knowledge of your previous chat window, or is it starting from the
No,
scratch?
no. Currently not. It could be in
Ah,
future,
okay.
like
Hmm.
when it's GA, but in preview
Hmm.
it was not retaining. We tried tested it. Like for example, if you look at
Yeah.
my lines here,
Hmm.
this is just very generic, which I'm giving. Like give me the Docker push command for the image named. So I'm actually naming this here, my web app. So I'm just deploying the web app stuff and all whatever we can do in the upcoming demos of this.
Hmm.
But here, if you look at this, I'm just giving all the names by writing it. No, it's
Understood.
not retaining it. Yeah, it's not
Maybe they're
retaining it.
working on it. Maybe you'll see an update there soon as well.
Yeah, but I don't know it's true or not. But I heard it's already there. It's not in GA. Maybe in builds or maybe in upcoming events that could be possible announcement, which is
That's
happening
just a
on this
couple
one.
weeks away. So I
Yeah,
exactly. I will not be surprised if there is a big bang announcement which is coming through.
yeah, that could happen in the build as well. Okay, so having said that, so now we have got almost things ready for us to begin the next one. So we're just pulling the data of Docker and checking out. Yeah, we can. Okay, so we are ready with particular Docker. ACR 90 has been created. Nice. Look at this, guys. We deployed a web app on Kubernetes, like with containers. That's cool. That's amazing stuff with our Copilot. Let's do the next demo, which is deploying AKS with Azure Copilot. Okay, so here we are deploying, this is a quick one, then the older one. We're deploying AKS, the Kubernetes, so with the help of Copilot. So let's ask Copilot in terms of how we could or how we can do deployment of AKS, like Azure Outing app, usually standard demo, what we generally do. Okay, so now I'm asking, guide me through creation or creating or an AKS cluster. Cool. So Rashmi, this is how I was talking to you. Like it gives me prompt there, like configure your deployment there. Look at this. I just said continue and then deploy. Boom, I'm
That was
there.
wonderful.
I need not to open my CLI there. So
Hmm.
that's something which helps many people to be more advanced, to go to something and do those aspects.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my phone is buzzing up and it's there in the back of the table. Okay, so we have got the web app creation. That's a file what we have in terms of README. So we are just validating. Um, okay, now let's close this. Okay, this is a resource group we are into. We are just validating the deployment, the quick deployments being chosen. Okay, but okay, we have time, right? Rashmi, if I'm not wrong, please help me with that if I'm just forgetting about it.
Yeah, we are 40 minutes down, so we do
Okay.
have at least
Yeah.
10 to
Right.
15 more minutes to complete the content.
Okay. So I'll skip
I think we're
to.
doing good on time, yeah. But just one more call out to all the people who are watching. I know we are at the interesting part, and you might have questions on how the demo is actually working. And if there are these questions which you would like to ask directly to Lingaraj during the session, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat, and we will be picking it up and getting them answered right away.
So we are deploying the resource groups plus resources. Like we are creating a cluster with a custom domain and a CTPS, like which you saw. I clicked on deploy there and it started deploying. We'll wait until it gets deployed. Yeah. Now we are starting to understand how do I connect with the cluster which I've created now, and that too with existing container registry. Okay, blend, we have got CLIs there, so I can use CLIs. And but here I wanted to show you guys this ACR command connecting to the AKS cluster, which I wanted to have specifically to existing AKS cluster which has been created. So you can look, I've given specific names so that it integrates the names instead of just a command line. So I get precise line which I can just copy and paste it. Okay. So it could be your personal assistant, it could be your SME when you want to be. That's what I wanted to show you. And believe me, when you click deploy on something, it really checks into the RBAC and the governance from the data sources which it has got access to, and gives you a right to create if you have real rights to do it. It's not like, okay, you don't have rights, but still you did chat with it and it went ahead and did it. No, it is just a mirror of your user profile. It just doesn't go beyond of your permissions or what permissions you have got to do on any platforms, on especially on Azure and anything which is being managed by Azure Arc as well. Okay, so now like we are asking how does the Arc flag enabled authentication between Arc and AKS. So that's something which we have done. Basically, this demo which I'm trying to showcase to you guys will actually help you, like how do I deploy containerized application on AKS, like integrating AKS with ACR plus managing Kubernetes resources more efficiently with an AI, with the help of AI, that is Azure Copilot. And there's one thing which is like Copilot has got a good resources, and it is an invaluable resource for any beginner or any expert, or maybe like anyone who would like to leverage Azure Kubernetes capabilities. So believe me, folks, if you are AKS guy, if you're leveraging AKS on a day-to-day, this is brilliant. Or like if you're a professional who just got introduced to the team project where heavily AKS is in place, you just go in the flow or want to go with the flow with your colleagues, peers. Yeah, Copilot on Azure or Azure Copilot is your good friend. Okay, so
Linga, just one question over here. I think we have done a great job in like detailed explanation to the Copilot agent. What are the action items we want and what is the sequence in which we want to execute it? Have you ever tried playing around to see if there is like a complex command that we are sharing, which is basically taking from step one to step three, for example? And is it able to like break it down and execute each of these steps on behalf of you? Or are we still like asked to break it down by ourselves and get each of these commands sorted one by one?
It can break it for you, but it will not run for itself because
Hmm.
there could be possible inputs which you may have to perform, like
Hmm.
resource group name, like it could be any resources in particular with that particular subscription which you're playing with or tenant which you're playing in. So that's something which really has to be taken care. So it can break it for you, but it doesn't run it for you unless you give specific instructions to it. It
Hmm.
is getting enhanced, is what I would say. When I first saw it, we never had a deploy option. Okay, when we
Hmm.
were making this video, uh, this particular option was existing. So it
Hmm.
is enhancing. It's not like it is not enhancing. Probably what you have asked, you are an insider, so it could be possibly in the make now. But what I have seen is it will not like specifically it will break for you, but it will not run for you. That's
Yeah,
something which I
I know
would
for a
say.
fact. Yeah, I know for a fact that in GitHub Copilot, that you're using the agent mode. The agent can do all of these things on your behalf. So it can break down a complex set of steps into individual steps. Wherever you need an input, like a resource name, for example, it just prompts you in the chat and it takes care of executing multiple steps one after the other. And it
That's a
would be
different.
really interesting to see if Azure Copilot can do the same thing in the coming days.
That's the agent you're asking. Agent can do many things, right? For
Yes.
example, recently, day before yesterday, we built an agent which could possibly help us. Okay, the where did I land up? One second, I'm sorry, I missed up the slide. Okay, so just so in the version like in the hint, like just a hint. Yesterday we were working on some third-party custom agents in Copilot Studio, where we connected many of the applications in M365. Believe me, that does amazing job with the Salesforce and the ServiceNow. We were enabling some of the Salesforce, like sales folks, where on the go they want to create SFDC ticket for the deal they're working on. They want to know what has been their performance for the month, what targets they have actually achieved, what is the next lead or maybe probabilities they could really play around with the reports which is there in Salesforce, and that's all happening just in Teams for them.
Mm.
And that's something that's a beyond, like that's agentic AI which we've been
Yeah.
playing through. But yes, if that has to come to here on an Azure Copilot, it will take some time, but at that moment, I would say it will be more or less automated. You just have to give an
Mm.
instructions to Azure at that point in time. That's what I would say. We'll skip this, and there's one demo which I wanted to bring it up in the interest of the time before we hit a Q&A. Uh, okay, so there are a couple of more demos which I wanted to showcase, but the one which
It will be
is very.
great if you can share links to all of these demos as well, Lingraj. I think people who have dialed in, they would love to watch this and get back to you if they have further questions. So if you have like all of these posted somewhere, or if they are a part of GitHub repositories which people can access, I think that'd be really great to share with the rest of the groups.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. I will share that in my blog and maybe put that across in my GitHub repo so that they can access it.
Awesome.
Okay, the last one where we talk about some of the infrastructure sizing here, like for example, the hybrid machine management where we are talking about. So this is something, we have got, I was talking about it connects to HCI clusters and understand the data. So Azure Arc data. Remember the initial slide deck where we were talking about the knowledge it gets it from, or the data sources it refers is also from Azure Arc, wherein some of the on-premises data is being kept across. So those exist here. Okay. So here we are trying to talk about uh, like an example, which is like Copilot, and like I would say that, for example, I would say the summarize my arc. I did talk about K8. I just wanted it to be typed here so that you will know it does understand the K8. Yes, the K8s are Kubernetes. So imagine how the LLMs are getting trained, because the large language models which we are talking, which we are there, is able to understand some of the shortcuts, or maybe the words which we use on the slangs which we use on a work floor, or maybe in a work culture. It just understands that. And I'm just trying to pull out some of the 18 Kubernetes clusters which were created, and try to understand what it is doing, how it is doing. So, for example, now all those are disconnected. In fact, but if you can just check alerts in the environments, and okay, look at this. So there are critical alerts. You know why? Because all those are disconnected. That's the reason it is showing these alerts. And believe me, this is disconnected because those are all on top of HCI clusters. So HCI clusters again. Okay, so let's ask Copilot now. Let's understand that also, how HCI cluster, like there are currently 13 HCI clusters in the environment, and around 11ish are connected. So let's understand that. Okay. So this is something, why? Because the HCI is down. Out of 13, 11 are working connected, and 2 are not. So it's giving you the operational status. Is it is okay? Let's preview.
So the alerts that are configured over here, Lingaraj, were these also things which you had to configure, or the Copilot automatically can help you with it?
Sorry, Rashmi, I didn't hear your question properly. Can you please repeat it?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, what I'm asking is all of these alerts, like you got a total of around 46 alerts, right? On the basis of the
Yes.
health of your clusters and the health of your Kubernetes. So, is there a way that these alerts can also be configured by the Copilot itself, or did you have to manually configure?
It's not configured. The alerts are generally, exist at the moment. We just pull those records. For example, there are several alerts for a VM, or maybe a databases, on a, like, we have got Cosmos DBs on Azure environment. We have some trouble in terms of data analytics, data engineering. People are pulling the data, but things are not running as easy. So there could be delays, there could be some issues. So those would be monitored by Azure, and for certain things, and those would exist in my insights and the alerts for sure. And now I want to break down, filter it down to particular Cosmos DB, or maybe particular virtual machine, particular container. Then I would use my Copilot to say that, hey, look, I'm seeking an information of all containers which are related to the region X. Can you please give me the data? Any
Yeah.
alerts which are P1, P2? Okay, that's kind of a summary. Be like, for example, if your manager asks you, hey, Rashmi, can you please pull me a data last 1 month? What all we have done, what good things and bad things. Okay, you want to pull some alerts and show that, okay, these were the alerts which we got in and we fixed it. So how many alerts actually popped out which are related to the workloads you manage? So
Yeah.
boom, like you can get that information in a seconds using a
Yeah.
Copilot, and your manager will be happy for sure. So that's something which I could say here. We don't generate any alerts here. It's kind of like pulls out the records for you and showcases it, and maybe help you to fix those if you want to fix those.
Good.
Okay, the demos are done. We did skip some demos in the interest of the time. We are having 6 minutes open for Q&A. Any questions we have?
So far, I don't see any questions in the chat, but I definitely think there are a lot of questions which will be brewing up considering this demo, something which a lot of people might have either tried or not tried, right? And they're curious to know how to try. So, folks, once again, if you would still like to ask questions, we are good on time. If you would like to get it answered during the call, please shoot your questions right away. We'll give it a couple more minutes. If not, the social handles for both of us have been put in the chat, and we will be having this chat section monitored even on YouTube. So if there are things that you would like to ask later on, you can feel free to drop your questions, and Lingaraj and I can help in making sure that these are getting answered. Right? Cool.
Super.
We do have one question, so we can probably start off over there. So
Yes.
AKS clusters are private or isolated. So how do you manage AKS clusters using Copilot?
So as I said, it is when the private clusters exist, you should have an access to it. The RBAC comes into picture, the like governance comes into picture, plays a role. So the data sources which Copilot actually tries to access, it also accesses your level of restrictions on the source or the clusters we have got. If it's a private, if you have got access to it, you still be able to manage it. If it's not, yeah, you will not be able to.
Yeah.
Then if it work
Basically,
with, yeah.
yeah. Basically, it all comes down to how much roles and permissions that you have as a user in your subscription.
As I said, it's a mirror of yours. So whatever you have got, it can do. If you don't have access, it cannot have an access to.
Yeah.
So that's a very simple understanding.
I yeah, I hope that answered. We have one more question. I think it's more on the generic end, asking if we can also have Hugging Face and TensorFlow models supported in these copilots.
I have to come back, circle back on this question because I have not tried. Honestly, I have not tried that so far, but it's a preview. I don't think so. It's more efficient in terms of doing those models at the moment.
Yeah, I think at the preview stage, at least, Microsoft would definitely stand by the existing set of models which have been tried and tested by them. But rest assured, like we said, Build is coming in another 2 weeks, and Build is a very developer front
Yeah.
event where we
Yes.
focus on a lot of big announcements coming up. So please stay tuned, all of you, for the next 2 weeks. You will be definitely hearing things which are moving the AI waves. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Thank you. Any
Cool.
more questions? Yeah.
I don't see any more questions at the moment, but Lingaraj, thank you so much for being there with us. And this has been a very interesting journey. I'm sure we would love to have you again to visit
Yeah.
all the other advancements that happen going forward. And please do share your resources with the rest of us so that we can also play around and reach out to you if there are any more questions. And
Yeah.
this has been a great journey. We will be staying in touch. Thank you so much. And everyone who has attended, thank you once again. Please leave your feedback on how the session was, and if you would like to hear about some interesting topics that you would like us to present on, feel free to drop your suggestions, and we'll try to make sure that that's the next topic we are tackling. So cool. With that, thank you so much. Have a good day, evening, night from wherever you are in which part of the world. See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you for hosting me. Cheers. Bye.
Bye bye.